Hi everybody, my name's Theresa and I'm a movement artist with the Pace Art program in Lafayette, Louisiana. Today we are going to create a dance about recycling. So we'll learn a little bit about recycling and other things that we can do to help take care of the planet. We'll also learn about cycles, patterns, pathways, and movement, and I will take you through a process of creating a dance about recycling using props. We're learning about so much cool, fun stuff today. You will need a few things for your lesson today. First thing you'll need is some items that can be recycled. So it's important to ask a grown-up to help you find some items that would be safe to use. They will probably already know about recycling and some things that can be used, but I'll show you some examples. I have some paper that can be recycled. I have a tube that used to have some paper towels on it, so we can use that. I've got a little can here and an old box, a cardboard box. And speaking of boxes, we'll need some kind of container to put them in for our lesson today. So I have a cardboard box. I even have the recycling symbol on my box here. So I'm going to use this, but if you don't have a cardboard box lying around, you could use a basket or a bucket or something like that. Okay, the last thing that we'll need today is some space to move. So let's get started with our lesson by warming up our bodies. Okay guys, time to stand up. Make sure you have space around you so that you can move safely. Here we go, we're gonna warm up. All right, my feet. Oh, just kind of walking through my feet a little bit. I like to get my feet ready by doing this move. I'll turn sideways so you can see going through the parts of my feet. Good. Let's circle our feet around other way. Good. Circle. Other way. Other foot. We're going to circle. Other way. And circle. Other way. Good. Shake out one leg. Shake out the other. Shake out the other. Shake out the other. Shake out your hips and your torso and your shoulders and your arms and your head. Oh, we're gonna be gentle with our head. Circle. Other way. Good. We're getting warmed up. Hands reaching down to our feet. Scooping up. Good. Reach one hand over. Good. Again, now we'll do it with the other hand. Reaching up high. Take your other hand over. Good. All right, let's do a stretch forward. Turning sideways so you can see me, what it looks like when I do this sideways. So let's reach our hands up high, and we're gonna take a flat back over. Yeah, that feels good. We're getting the back of our legs stretched that way. Take a nice deep breath so your body can just relax. And we'll roll up. Okay, great warm up, guys. So when we do moves and do stretches, we are actually taking care of our bodies and ourselves that way. Moving and stretching is a great way to take care of yourself, and it's important to take care of your body so that your body can be healthy and you can be happy. But I want to talk to you about something else that we can take care of today. This is really important. I'm going to show you a picture, okay? This is a picture of the earth. So it's really important to help take care of the earth and to keep it clean and healthy for all living things like people and animal and plants. One way we can do that is by using the 3 R's. That means reduce, reuse, and recycle. So some things that people use on the planet can be unhealthy for the planet, right? Now, most of the things that we use, or a lot of things that we use, end up in something called a landfill. Here's a picture of a landfill. What a landfill is a hole in the ground, right? And this is where our garbage goes. Once it's in the garbage truck drives away to a landfill, and that's where it puts our trash. So some things in a landfill do something called decompose pretty quickly. Decomposing is like when you break something down into smaller pieces. So if we had a banana peel that went to a landfill, it wouldn't take long for that banana peel to break into smaller pieces, and then it would turn into something kind of like dirt. And that's not too bad for the planet. But there are other things that don't decompose quickly, like plastic. Now, if we use a lot of plastic and keep using lots of plastic, it can take hundreds and thousands of years for the plastic to break down. And that means we have more trash in our landfill, and that can make our air dirtier, and that can make our oceans dirtier. So what we can do is reduce, reuse, and recycle to help keep things out of our landfills. Reduce means use less. So there are some things like plastics that we can use less of. Here's one thing that we need to use less of: these kinds of plastic bags. So instead of getting these at the grocery store, what we can do is we could use this kind of bag. So this is actually a reusable bag, right? This is a reusable grocery bag. So we could take this and use this for our groceries, and then use it again. That's what reuse means, is when we use something over and over again. So if we reuse these kinds of bags, then we don't have to use these kinds of bags so much, and they don't fill up our landfills, right? So we can reduce the plastic that we use. We can reuse some things. Now, if you do have some bags like this, you could reuse them too, right? There are lots of things that we could use. We could put these in our garbage cans for our trash liners. I use these sometimes if I'm packing something and I want to keep it safe. Instead of using bubble wrap, I can just use old plastic bags. So that's a way that we can reuse them. So we know about reducing, using less of something, reusing, using something over again, and now let's talk about recycling. So recycling is really cool, and it's kind of like magic a little bit, because what it means is that you use something and then it's recycled and it can become something else. So we know about cycles. We have cycles like seasons, right? A cycle is a pattern that goes around and around. So like the earth goes around the sun, and that's why we have seasons, and it goes in a pattern that goes spring, summer, fall, winter, spring, summer, fall, winter, spring, summer, fall, winter, around and around, right? So objects and things that we use have cycles too. So they get created, they're made somewhere like a factory, and then people buy the things, we use the thing, and then we can throw it away, or we can recycle it. So when we can recycle something, it usually has this symbol right here. That's our recycling symbol, and that means instead of throwing it in the regular garbage can, you can put it in a special bin, a recycling bin, right? And then someone will take it and bring it to a recycling plant where it can become something else. So let's say I was using some paper towels, and I finished the paper towel roll, and I put this, actually this is the box that I use to recycle things. It lives in my kitchen. So I walked over and I put this into the box. Boop. Then when the box gets full, I take it out to my recycling bin outside, put the recycling stuff in there, and when the people come to pick it up and bring it to the recycling plant, this paper towel roll might get turned into something else, like some paper, right? Or a notebook or some tissue. So instead of going into a landfill where it gets dirty and yucky, people can use things again. And that's a really cool thing about recycling. So some things that we can recycle are paper, right? So I have some little magazine paper right there. Whoops, tore it. We can also recycle cardboard, like this cardboard box, or a little box of mac and cheese. We can recycle cans. Aluminum cans are recyclable. That means we can recycle them. And plastics are recyclable too. So you can look there on the bottom of this plastic. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that recycling little symbol right there. That means we can recycle it. So plastic. We can't recycle glass where we live in Lafayette right now, but some places can also recycle glass. So those are some things that can go in your recycling bin. So when it's time to recycle, we just clean those things up, rinse them out, and dry them off and put them into the recycling bin. So it's time to start the process of creating our recycling dance. All right, so a process is like a way that you can do something, right? Kind of like following the directions, but we can have different kinds of processes for one thing. There's not just one way to make a recycling dance. You could make so many different ones using so many different processes. When we do a process, we kind of follow the steps. So I'll show you this process that you can create your own recycling dance. Remember that you can pause this video anytime you need. So if you need a little more time to think about what kind of moves you're going to do, or just anything that you would need, if you want to practice a little bit more, you can pause it and then come back to the video whenever you're ready. All right, so let's start the process. First thing that we'll need is we'll need our container. So we're pretending like this is a recycling bin. I've got my box, right? So whether you're using a box or a basket or a bucket or something like that, we'll need that. And then you also need the items that you're going to use for your recycling dance. When we use items in a dance, like if we're holding those items, we call them props. So we're using some things for our props today. So whatever your recycling items are, those are your props. I'm using 3. You can use less or more than that if you want, okay? So the props that I'm going to use are plastic bags. So I'm just gonna put them in our recycling bin. Boop. My paper towel roll. And nope, not that one, this one. This is our container for fabric softener. I'm going to use this one too. Boop. So I'm putting those in. Now, when we have something else that we don't like pick up and carry on a stage when we're dancing, or if we're like acting too, we could call them a set piece. So we're going to use the box like our set piece today, and our props are inside the box. So this is our first step of our process, of gathering these things, getting our props and our set piece ready to go in our space that we're moving, okay? So that's step 1. Once you've got that, you're ready for the next part in your process, okay? Okay, the next part in our process is we are going to create a pathway, all right? So a pathway has to do with doing some traveling in a dance. So whenever we're traveling from one place to another, the way that we take is our pathway. Since our dance is about recycling and a cycle goes around and around, we're going to take a pathway that goes around and around too. So we're going to have the beginning of our cycle standing next to our recycling bin, to our set piece, and then I'm just going to walk the pathway that I'm using. And I'm using my eyes to kind of notice like where I go on my pathway so I get it right the next time. And it's going to go, a cycle goes over and over again. It's a pattern. So this is kind of like the end of my cycle, right? But we're going to do it over and over again. So I'm going to walk that pathway again. Now, when you're using pathways in dance, you usually won't just like walk in a pathway. You might do other kind of moves too. So if you want to try another kind of traveling move, another kind of locomotor move, I'm going to do a sliding one because it's fun And because I'm wearing socks today, you can do some other kinds of moves in your pathway. Maybe like a tiptoe move in your pathway. Maybe like a tiptoe move in your pathway. Yeah, So any kinds of traveling moves. There's so many different ones that we can do. Why don't you take a minute to pause the video and try some traveling moves in your pathway. And then, okay, the next part in our process, now I actually brought this over because I'm going to put this back where it belongs in just a second, but I want to show you a little closer about our next part. It has to do with using our imagination, which is like so much fun to do, and when we're artists, we get to do it all the time. Okay, so we're going to imagine different things about these props. Now we know when we recycle things, they can become something else. So we're going to use our imagination and imagine that these things can become something else. But like, so sometimes we're making art, it doesn't have to be like always realistic. So we're going to imagine some things that like, I don't know, things that I like to imagine are things that like maybe we might not even see like every day. So let me show you how this works, okay? I've got all of my recycling props and I'm ready to use them. So we're gonna imagine that they can become something else. So we're gonna say this is not a paper towel roll, right? We're pretending right now. We're gonna imagine that it's something different. So we're gonna say this is not a paper towel roll. Okay, you get your prop and say this is not a whatever it is. Okay, good. Okay, you did it. Okay, good. So this is not a paper towel roll, and then we can imagine. So the way that I like to imagine, I'm gonna close my eyes. I'm gonna like make a picture of what this could be instead of a paper towel roll. Okay, I've got it. So you try to make a picture of what your thing could be. Did you get it? Okay, so for my dance, this is not a paper towel roll. This is a gigantic macaroni noodle sword. Woo! Okay, this is a gigantic macaroni noodle sword. I'm so excited. I'm gonna put this to the side. What is your thing? I wish I could see. I wish I could see what you had right now, but okay, got it. This is not a fabric softener bottle. So I'm closing my eyes and I'm imagining. Okay, this is a finger drum. Okay, what was your thing? So you can pause if you need some more time to imagine, that's fine. You can take like as much time as you want to imagine. Okay, so maybe you imagine that this is something different, your next prop. Okay, I have one more prop left. My plastic bag. So I'm gonna say, this is not a plastic bag. Okay, this is a fluffy bubble. It's a fluffy bubble. I don't know, I imagined a fluffy bubble. Okay, so I've got all of my things that I imagined what they're gonna be. I'm gonna remember, this is a gigantic macaroni noodle sword. This is a finger drum. It sounds awesome. And this is a fluffy bubble. All right, we're ready for the next part in our process. Okay, for the next part of our process, we have to stand where our cycle begins. So you remember my cycle on the pathway begins in this spot next to my recycling bin. And we're also going to be holding or using our first prop, whatever your first prop is. So whatever you imagined, that's what you're going to use it as, okay? So if I had a gigantic macaroni noodle sword, I'm gonna think about how I might move with a gigantic macaroni noodle sword. So now we get to create some moves. When you create some moves, you can try out different things. Make sure you're being safe with your props and make sure you're being safe within the space so you're not gonna like hit anything or hurt yourself, right? But when we're doing our moves, we're gonna move around, but we're also gonna pay attention to how our body feels and maybe to what we might see and where we might begin with our moves. So we're gonna create some moves that have to do with your prop. So I'm imagining, if I had a gigantic macaroni noodle sword, how would I move with a gigantic macaroni noodle sword? I might use it like a lasso. that's fun. Or like a whip, but if it's a sword, okay, that's okay, we can imagine. So let's try a whip move. Ooh, I like that whip move. I'm gonna try my moves again so I can really tell how I'm doing my moves. So when I did my lasso move over my head, I went, ooh, I can notice that my torso is going side to side. I'm moving it in a circle. When I did a whip part, I did a jump move, and I went down like that too. Okay, so also if it's a gigantic macaroni noodle sword, I might like do some sword moves. I don't know any sword moves, so I'm gonna make them up like that one. Okay, so here we go. Okay, also it's really fun to do sound effects when you're doing your moves. So if you want to do that too, go for it. Okay, now I've got some moves with my first prop. Now I'm going to put them together in a pattern and see how they can travel on my pathway. All right, so when I travel, that means I have to go. I'm going to start from the beginning of my cycle all the way to the end of my cycle. So my move was, my first move, now your pattern might not have 3 moves. It might just have 2 moves or 1 move. I don't know how it could go, but a pattern repeats over and over again. So I'm going to do my lasso, my whip, and the sword move. All right, then I'll do it again. The lasso, I don't know if you can see me. I'll get a little lower so you can see me. The lasso move, the whip move, and the sword move. Oh, I think I can do this pathway, or this pattern one more time to get all the way to the end of my pathway. So here I go. Lasso. Oh, I'm keeping all my moves facing inside the circle. Whip. The circle pathway that I'm creating. The whip went down here, and then the sword. Okay, so after that last one, I'm at the end of my cycle. I'm going to drop my gigantic macaroni noodle sword into the recycling bin, and we're going to imagine that it turns into, what was this one? A finger drum. Okay, so now I've got to make a finger drum pattern. Let's see. I might make a rhythm pattern. There's lots of different rhythm patterns we can make. So I did a move pattern. But since it's a drum, I don't know if I like that one. Ooh, I like that one better. Hitting on this side. Okay, so okay, I have to make it travel, so I'm doing a little march step in my pathway. Oh, I added a little extra beat there. That's a pattern because it goes around and around. Aha! I'm at the end of my cycle, so I'm going to take my finger drum, drop it into the recycling bin, and then I've got my last item, but this is not a plastic bag. So we're imagining what things could become if they could become something else. So this, a fluffy bubble, fluffy bubbles. Okay, so how could I move with a fluffy bubble? Now, anytime you guys want to pause this and try your own moves, you probably definitely need some time to create your own patterns too. So just pause this and you can come right back to the video whenever you're ready, right? Whenever you've got your different patterns. Okay, so first we figure out the moves and then we put them in a pattern, right? Going over and over again. So I think fluffy bubbles probably like, whoop, whoop. I'm gonna make sure we're being safe with this one and don't put it on your head because that would not be good for you. So I'm just playing with some different ways that I can move. Ooh, that's a fun one with my prop, right? We get to create things and make things up. So really like so much about making dances and making art sometimes can be like, trying different things out. Oop, not the head, and playing. Oop. Okay, so I'm not gonna use my head, but let's see if I could do like an elbow. So first I'll toss it up. I could do elbow. Ooh, it just stays on my elbow. What if I take it in a circle, hand, and put it back on my elbow, circle around, catch it in my hand, elbow, circle, hand, elbow, circle, hand, and one more elbow, circle, hand, into the recycling bin. And I made all my patterns in my pathway, so now it's time to perform our dance. So now that we have all of the steps of our dance kind of together, we know what we're going to do, we're putting it together, I'm adding some extra things. So you can always continue a process or continue to change your dances or change your moves. But using and following a process and doing things one step at a time is a great way to help you like kind of keep track of what you're doing. So I'm adding some music when we do this. So we're gonna try it. I'm gonna try my dance using some music, and that can kind of change the way that I do my moves and the way that the movement feels to do. And then I'm gonna try doing the dance without the props. So we're gonna see how using props can get us to like create different kind of moves that maybe we wouldn't have decided to do before. All right, so let's try it out. All right, I'm starting with my first prop. Ready, set, here I go. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you guys had some fun. I hope you learned some things about how we can take care of the earth. I hope you enjoyed creating a process of making a recycling dance. If you'd like some more lessons, we'll be posting a new lesson every day at 10 a.m. on the Acadiana Center for the Arts YouTube channel. We'll have lessons for kindergarten, first and second grade, and all of those lessons are tied to the academic curriculum. Some of our lessons are in creative movement and some of our lessons are in visual arts. You can also get these lessons on AOC as part of the Learn United program. So you can get those on Cox Channel 16 or LUS Channel 4. Our kindergarten lessons will air at 8 a.m. and first and second grade lessons will be at 9 a.m. So make sure you come back and make some art with us tomorrow. If you're interested in supporting programs like this, you can visit Acadiana Center for the Arts.org. They are the nonprofit organization that manages the PACE Art program for Lafayette Parish school systems. So I hope I see you next time. Spread the word, share our videos, and keep making art. Bye guys, see you next time. Thank you.